I have two questions in here. First question, we saw from the temple's website that there will be a ceremony held tomorrow, King Peacock Chanting Ceremony. Would you be kind to explain more to me about this ceremony? If we don't know Chinese, can we join? Tomorrow we have a special ceremony, the King Peacock ceremony. There was a sutra in Chinese. It's called the King Peacock Sutra, which describes that Sakyamuni, the Buddha, our historical Buddha, Gautama, Siddhartha Gautama, who became the Buddha, was many years lives ago, he was a peacock. He was the king peacock. And as a king peacock, he was taught by his predecessors how to chant the King Peacock mantra. And it's written in the mantra that he got into difficulties and suffering, and he could always get out by chanting the King Peacock mantra. To keep the story short, this King Peacock ceremony contains about 37 mantras in it, and it is supposed to be a chanting ceremony that would link your mind with all these other sentient beings we cannot see, join together to geographically protect the area and avoiding catastrophes like earthquake, forest fire, epidemic disease on a macro scale. And then on a micro scale individually, it would improve health, to live longer, to have longevity. Every year, we would like to perform a ceremony to get blessings like that from the merits accrued by chanting to avoid earthquake in Vancouver. Because Vancouver is exposed to long time already to an earthquake, That's what geologists told us in Vancouver, because we are along the earthquake area. And San Francisco had a big one many years ago, in which bridge broke, a lot of casualties. And we're long due for an earthquake. And what can we do about it? I always think this is geographical catastrophe which may happen because of the universal changes in weather, something that we cannot control. But I always think of this is uncontrollable because we can't control the weather, can we? So is there any way that we can accrue blessings to avoid an earthquake long before it happened, or try to postpone it? And I found this King Peacock mantra. Aside from avoiding earthquake, it also has a lot of power in avoiding forest fire, avoiding any kind of catastrophes, natural catastrophes, and also good for the individual to be healthy, to be cured from a sickness, and to live happily. In the ancient times, the Japanese, the king of Japan, knew that Japan was subject to earthquake and other tsunamis and etc. catastrophes. And the king was worrying. The king loved his subjects, loved his citizens, and he was worrying that catastrophes would come to the country. So he sent a monk overseas to China. How many years ago? Many years ago. More than 1,000 years ago, maybe 900 years ago. That happened 900 years ago. The king of Japan sent Kong Hai, a bhikshu, a monk by the name Kong Hai, to China to learn esoteric Buddhism as to how to avoid catastrophes, because they were afraid that earthquake would come to Japan, because he knew that Japan was subject to that, was exposed to natural, which we know, yes, the geological substance of Japan was exposed to that. They recently had a big tsunami and they have earthquakes all the time. So he sent a monk to China to learn, and that's what that monk learned, the King Peacock mantra, King Peacock ceremony, and he brought this back to Japan. And within 3 years, under his supervisions and by order of the king, he built 88 temples along the shoreline of Japan. I visited 44 many years ago, and most of them were in the ancient times specializing in chanting the mantra, King Peacock mantra. 44 temples, 88 temples in 3 years. So this is a very effective chanting. So if you you can join, and it is written in Chinese. There's no other English translations. This is something that we should do. Maybe we translate it into English, but then we Romanize every word, so you can actually read from the alphabets, how to chant. But they chant it quite fast. Yeah.
I believe it's in Pinyin already.
There
are books available now here in Pinyin.
In Pinyin,
so you can read it.
Yeah, Pinyin already.
Yeah, it's already. You can come and you can participate. I've done it before.
Yeah. How do you find it? Do you find that you can more or less follow?
Well, yes. You're just reading English alphabet letters.
Yeah, alphabets.
And you're just reading
Pinyin, you already have the Pinyin, the alphabet. There's English alphabets just on the bottom line of every line of Chinese characters. So you can actually follow. And even in Chinese, those words are quite difficult to understand. That's the reason why even Chinese monks, not most of the Chinese monks, they don't know how to chant that, because these words are so difficult to understand that if you try to learn it, if you don't know the English alphabets, you can't. You will spend years, consulting dictionaries to find out meaning and pinyin of those words. It's a sutra of longevity and good health too, individually. And there are 38 mantras in there, and these mantras are mantras that you gather all the sentient beings together, sentient beings that we cannot see. For example, the gods of the river, the gods of the forest, the gods of land, all kinds of gods and guardian angels. I've never found a sutra that has so many sutras for calling a convention. But usually we just chant a mantra, and that mantra is from Bodhisattva, from Buddha. But this is, a sutra that contains all the mantras invoking all the gods, all the guardian angels to come together to have a convention. And in this convention, there are even bad guardian angels and good guardian angels, reminding them they should be protecting the area, protecting the citizens and the individuals. So you can also come and join us tomorrow. You may be able to follow it. It's not easy because you have to be familiar with it to really follow it fast. But there's always a first time. Come and join and try to learn it. Tomorrow it's Sunday. So it's Sunday tomorrow? So if you have nowhere else to go, come here. Better than staying at home. For the sake of avoiding an earthquake. Who knows? It could well avoid an earthquake, or you yourself would be able to avoid some catastrophes that you may be confronting. All right, you can come and join us. Okay? Yeah, this is the first part of the question. Second part of the question is, our action came from our thoughts, mind. We understand karma will be created, no matter it is wholesome or unwholesome. But it is not easy to understand how neutral still create karma. Would you elaborate more? We said that from the moral perspective of each consciousness, there are 3 characteristics, the moral characteristics on every thought, every volitional action, speech performed by a consciousness. Is either wholesome, which is good, right? Unwholesome, bad, and neutral. Neutral is It could be good, it could be bad. Neutral is not in the good area, not in the bad area. So if it is wholesome, it would create wholesome karma. If it is unwholesome, it would create unwholesome karma. The question is, how about neutral? Neutral will not create any karma, right? So how can neutral, if it is neutral, how can it create karma? I think I can give you an analogy to understand it. So if I'm watching a television right now, or if I'm on a computer right now, on YouTube, whatever, if I'm seeing something that invoke my emotions badly, that invoke my, for example, greediness, my emotions of violence, my emotions of relationships, for example, if what I'm looking at, I'm viewing, invoke something bad in me, then that's creating bad karma, because you are invoking, sensations and emotions that is unwholesome, greediness, hatred, the sexual desire, and all that, and violence and all that. But that seeing, that consciousness of seeing and listening and the thinking consciousness will be unwholesome karma, right? So that's unwholesome, right? If I'm seeing something wholesome, something in there that is meaningful, compassionate, telling me to be compassionate and teaching me a lesson in something that's good, that would create wholesome karma, because I would be doing some wholesome action. But what happens if it's neither one? It's not doing anything, but I'm still seeing it, right? For example, I'm not looking at television, I'm just sitting there, I'm not seeing wholesome and unwholesome, I'm just sitting there doing nothing. Would it create karma? Yes, it is. The karma of being lazy. You're just sitting there doing nothing. The karma of being idle. The karma, the time that you should be spending to be compassionate, the time that you've been spending to be meditating, the time that you should be spending to help people, you don't do that. You're just being idle, you don't care, you feel indeterminate, and you're not active. Not being active in doing good karma itself is creating bad karma. You're doing nothing, you're lazy. That's a lazy karma. It covers your purity. So they still create karma. But that kind of karma is not strong. It is not so bad, it is not so good, that it would not create that resultant energy to get you to good or bad effects. So you're still creating karma of neutrality, because you're being lazy, you're being inactive, you don't care. That's still obscuring your true nature. But there are neutrality that is caring. You're sitting in here, you're not seeing anything, but in your mind that you are actually meditating, so you're creating the karmic energy. You seem to be neutral, but actually that neutrality, you're not contemplating on bad things, not good things, but you have that awareness, simply awareness. That awareness is creating what? The karma awareness. It seems to be on the surface, it's not creating karma, but that karma is a karma of awareness, a karma of leading you to enlightenment. So neutrality still needs to karma. It depends on where and how effective that karma is. Next, thank you for the wonderful lectures. We're happy to see you back. Can you briefly tell us about your lecture in Hong Kong, if you have time? I went to a hall in a certain area in which there's 700 people, and it's all packed with people. And I was talking about, because recently in Hong Kong, there were some, what should I say, monks who are not monks, who are impersonating to be monks, and they were backing in the street, they were holding bowls and backing in the streets. And it happened also in some part of America, in Honolulu, where they send, fake monks. It becomes an organization where they train fake monks to come out to beg for money, or to sell rosary beads. If you see some monks in the streets and exactly look like us, then they're selling you beads, rosary beads, and they're telling you, I have supernatural power. I can read your palm lines, I can read your face and know your fortune. Don't believe in that. They're fake monks. And after they finish, they dress layman's clothes and they go to restaurants to eat their pork chop and steak and lobsters and all that. They're meat eaters. They're not true monks. So don't be cheated by these fake monks. Recently in Hong Kong, there were a lot of fake monks. And that leads to some people who are nosy to investigate into some temples, some real Buddhist temples, and they found some monks who are not really following the precepts, and they exposed their misdemeanor about their behavior, and that really upset the Buddhist community in Hong Kong. So I was told that maybe I should give a lectures on the importance of observation of precepts, of behavior and all that. So I've been giving lectures about the 5 precepts, about the Vinaya of the Buddhist faith. And in Chinese, of course, that receives a lot of popularity because they like to listen to lectures giving out precepts, the importance of precepts and why we should observe our behavior. And next year I have been invited by Singapore to give 4 days of lectures from an organization in Singapore, and giving lectures on why the arousal of emotional reactions and how to overcome emotions and that kind of thing. So I will be going. There are more requests for going out to lectures, and on YouTube, there's more and more people clicking into our lectures in here. So we're getting more people listening to our talks, and it's good. It's good. So if you have not visited our website, it's worthwhile looking at it. We have totally revamped it. We have totally changed the format, and you can actually contribute. There's a website that we can actually contribute our efforts to, right? What can we do about?
Volunteer, or you can make donations for other charity projects that we have.
Yeah, you can become volunteers. Then you can help in. If you are an IT person, that would be even better, because we need some IT people to be volunteers. Yeah. Okay. And any more questions? I have not been talking in English for a month, so I got tongue-tied. You should realize that my brain is not really, my translation in my brain is not working properly, because all of a sudden I have to change the language to another language. I've been talking Chinese all the time, so if I stay for too long in Hong Kong, probably I can't even talk in English. So you really have to train your tongue all the time to be familiar with a certain language. And amazingly, there's a huge the population for expats, people speaking in English, is getting more and more in Hong Kong. Many of these people were Canadians, Americans. They went to do business in China, and they become interpreters and translators. So yeah.
The lecture in Singapore is in Chinese or English?
2 days in English. The Singaporeans are talented in languages. They speak a few languages. They speak Putonghua, Cantonese, Hakkanese, lots of them, dialects, and English too. Singapore has been a British colony for a long time, before its independence. So they speak good English, and they speak Cantonese, they speak Putonghua, and Fujianhua. Lots. They're very talented. So they wanted me to speak in 2 days of English, 1 Cantonese and 1 Mandarin. So that's the planning. And also I'll be going to Thailand to continue saving buffaloes. We already have raised 69 old buffaloes in a community for retired buffaloes. We set up a community for retired old buffaloes in Bangkok. Right now we have saved 69 buffaloes who were about to be slaughtered after giving 13, 14 years of service of giving milk. You know, the owner, usually for milking, for cows, milking cows, after 14 years they don't have any milk anymore. They send them to slaughterhouses to be slaughtered. So we want to save these buffaloes. So we convinced the owner to sell to us these buffaloes at a lower price, and we set up a community pasture for these old buffaloes, and we got 69 of them, retiring buffaloes on a pasture. And next year we're going to have about 15 old buffaloes. So every year we went there and check out the old ones. We audit on the old ones to see that they're still there. And every buffalo has a name to it, and we took pictures, make sure that they treated them well, and we set up. That's the only milking farm, milk farm, that's not killing its own buffaloes. So that's what we're going. If you can join us, and we have a couple who supported all the accommodation and lodging and food. They pay. You just pay for your own airfare. And we used to say, if you want to come, you pay for your own airfare, but the hotel will be taken care, the food will be taken care for 7 days, but you may have to donate a buffalo, which is about 1,000. How much is that a buffalo? Is it what, $1,000? 1,000 Canadian. So we donate money to save these buffaloes. We should be doing the same thing in Canada. All these cows, dairy farm cows, once they exhaust the milk, they send them to slaughterhouses to be slaughtered. You know how they were slaughtered? These cows would go into an avenues where they walk to the very end, and at the very end they have a barrel, and underneath the barrel there are 4 openings. They walk into that alley, and the barrel on both sides will close up to them. All the legs will be sticking out from those holes, and the body gets trapped in a barrel like this, with the legs in here. And then they send them out, turn it around, and there will be a blade going into the barrel to cut the belly, right inside, to cut the belly. And after they cut the belly, open up, and then they flip it back, open it, and all the inside of the bowels will come out, and then the buffaloes will walk a few steps and die in agony. That's how they kill buffaloes. So don't eat any steak. They were brutally slaughtered. Many of these animals, if you visit slaughterhouses and chicken farms and all that, you may not like to eat meat anymore. They were tortured, and we've seen movies about how animals before they were slaughtered were tortured by workers working in a slaughterhouses. They subject them to violence, and we're trying we can only do a little bit of it. We can't save all the buffaloes, but this is only what we can do. I mean, we want to do as much as we can. And every year I've been doing that for 20 years. I went to China, to Hong Kong to release fish, turtles, shrimps, crabs. I have released hundreds of tons over the 20 years. And we went out to the sea and released a lot of this fish back to the ocean. Big turtles they caught in Southeast Asia. And we bought this sea animals and bring them back to the sea to be released. So don't eat any fish. Don't eat any turtle soup. They were brutally slaughtered. And don't wear any fur because the mink will brutally slaughter and smoke.